Okay, so let's unpack this. When you hear location analytics, maybe you just picture dots on a map, right?
Yeah, simple map, but the sources we're looking at show it's way more complex and honestly much more powerful than just that.
It's about understanding, like, the dynamics of geography, mixing tons of data, and actually trying to predict future trends based on where things are happening.
And what's really hitting home in these sources is why it's so critical right now. It's not just a neat tech tool.
No?
No, they're framing it as this like essential engine for growth, for adapting, super important for making smart calls, whether you're a small shop or, a giant like Tesla planning huge rollouts.
Exactly. So our mission here, looking at this material, is to really get into that key question: where should we go next? And maybe more importantly, why?
Right.
And we'll see how location analytics gives those answers, especially using that Tesla supercharger case study mentioned.
So yeah, simplest terms, location analytics links data to places, helps understand patterns, influence actions. But honestly, that definition, it barely scratches the surface.
How so?
Well, it's not static, it's predictive. It's trying to grasp the potential of a location, not just what it is today. It's really business critical stuff.
And the impact seems massive.
Yeah.
I mean, predicting where customers might show up, making supply chains tighter, deciding where to sink billions into new infrastructure.
Yeah.
What really stood out in the sources was just how wide the application is. It's not just one industry.
Oh, definitely not. Who benefits? Well, the list is long. You mentioned retail store placement. That's classic. But financial institutions, they use it too.
For what? Like ATMs?
ATMs, branches, optimizing their whole network based on customer behavior, demographics, all that. Then you have infrastructure and energy companies.
Like the EV charger example.
Exactly. Planning grids, charging stations, they rely on this heavily. And public services, urban planning, understanding population density where resources are needed, it's becoming vital there too.
Okay, so that broad scope brings us right back to the Tesla example the sources highlighted. Their goal is pretty clear, right? Sustainable EV growth.
Building out charging across the U.S., Europe, China, huge areas.
But how on earth do you decide where thousands of these chargers should actually go? That seems incredibly complex.
It is complex, and the sources break down those layers. You start with current EV adoption rates, sure, but then you have to overlay things like, well, household income, vehicle ownership patterns.
And like, can people in this area even afford an EV? Or are they likely to buy one?
Precisely. Then there's the practical stuff, major traffic routes, travel habits. Where do people actually need charging on longer trips? Big difference between cities and rural areas, too, for demand and just feasibility.
And the sources also threw in things like government incentives, local policies.
Yeah, those can completely change the game for a specific spot.
Plus checking where competitors already are, obviously. It's this big, messy interplay of market behavior rules.
Absolutely. And you need tons of data for that. The sources kind of categorize it nicely. You've got your static data.
Okay, like what?
Census demographics, property info, zoning laws, the things that, don't change overnight. The foundation.
Right, the base layer.
Uh-huh.
But you need more than that, I guess.
Oh, yeah. You need the pulse, the dynamic data. This is where it gets really interesting. Mobile location data showing real movement.
From phones.
Yeah, anonymized, aggregated. Plus IoT sensor data from cars or buildings, transaction data showing spending habits. This tells you what's happening now.
Okay, so you blend the slow static stuff with the fast dynamic stuff.
That's the challenge and the goal. And from that mix, you get derived data. This isn't raw input, it's insights you create. Things like calculated foot traffic for a potential store site, or these sophisticated catchment areas, basically, figuring out the real zone people would travel from to get somewhere based on drive times, roads, not just drawing a circle.
Got it. Something else that popped out from the sources was the culture point.
Ah, yes. How open is a place to new tech, like EVs?
Right. That cultural bit affects demand, means you might need different strategies for different places, even with similar data points. Shows it's not just numbers.
Very true. Human factors matter. So if we pull back, why is this all so relevant right now?
Good question. What do the sources suggest?
They make it pretty clear. Competition is way tougher now. You need precision. Customers expect convenience like never before. And location is convenience, right?
Totally.
Businesses are also under pressure for efficiency. And increasingly, those sustainability goals like supporting EVs are driving huge location-based spending. It pushes location strategy right to the front.
So the takeaway for you listening seems to be, Location isn't just some side detail anymore.
Not at all.
The sources position it as like a core strategic thing,
Yeah.
essential for long-term success, a real growth engine.
Yeah, from that small shop owner using basic demographics and maybe some foot traffic data to Tesla modeling incredibly complex factors across continents, the game has changed.
So it's not if you use location analytics anymore.
It's really about how well and how dynamically you're using it to answer that big where next and why question.
Right. So thinking about how fast dynamic data shifts, how consumer habits change, even how policies evolve, and here's something that you want. How quickly can your location strategy actually adapt to keep up with all that constant change?